Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm Mary Kay Hudson. I'm the Executive Director for the Indiana Office of Court Services. With me today is Judge Fran Gull of the Allen Superior Court and John McGauley, Court Executive for the Allen Superior Court. And they're here with me today to talk about Allen County's approach to drug court graduations during the pandemic. Judge Gull, John, thanks so much for joining me and being willing to speak with me today. Judge Gull, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with you. So can you give us a little bit of background on your experience as a drug court judge? How long have you presided over the Allen Superior Court, Drug Court, and Veterans Courts?
I had the privilege of being appointed to this position in 2002. I took over for the originating judge, Judge Kenneth Scheibenberger, who started the drug court program here in Allen County. We're, I think, the second oldest drug court in the state after Gary City Court. So I've been doing this since 2002.
How many drug court graduations you may have hosted over almost 20 years now?
We have 2 per year, and we added our Veterans Court program in 2013 where we have 1 per year. So I kind of went back through all of the programs that I've saved, and I have presided over about 45 drug court and veterans court graduation ceremonies. This was the first one that I had done that was outside. So everything else has been inside in one of our grand courtrooms.
What was the process that you all went through as a team to determine that you were going to hold this? You were going to figure out a way to hold this ceremony. How did you guys go about doing that?
We first identified the participants that really, that had completed the program and were just waiting for their cases to be concluded so that they could kind of move on with their life. We kind of decided that we couldn't do it in person. We weren't doing any in-person hearings at the time that we did this ceremony, which happened to be on May 4th, which I thought was kind of an appropriate date of, May the 4th be with you. And we were just keeping our fingers crossed really hard that the weather would cooperate, that it wouldn't be a crummy day, that it would be beautiful outside. And we were blessed. Let's go forth and get these folks back into the community as productive members of society.
What was going through your head and what went into the planning process from your perspective as a court executive?
We didn't have time to get stressed about it, and really because I hopped out of the car one afternoon after lunch as this thing was getting ready to start. That's how fast it came together. Once we set foot outside of the doors of the Allen County Courthouse, we've got built-in social distancing. We were able to get folks together. We actually did another one of these today for our Family Recovery Court. One of the things that we needed to be careful about in this particular instance, though, is making sure that everybody looking out for what goes on in our building knew this was going on, because as has been the case elsewhere around the country and around Indiana, over the past few months, we've had a number of protests right in front of our building. And the last thing we wanted to do was not communicate properly and have our sheriff's department wondering why we've got 60 people assembling in front of the courthouse.
What did you see on their faces during the graduation ceremony?
It was pure joy, pure joy. I mean, there was so much overwhelming happiness. In the problem-solving court movement, we're very tactile. I mean, there's a lot of hugging that goes on. There's a lot of interpersonal contact that goes on. And I made it very clear at the beginning of our ceremony that I understand normally, when you're in court and something is going very well, it is not at all unusual to get a hug from the judge or a hug from your case manager. And obviously that wasn't going to be able to happen this time. One of our participants' wife and children were there, and, the kids were crying. The wife was crying. He stopped and told them, "Stop that. You're going to make me cry." So we're all crying because, I'm a crier too. So it was a real joyful celebration.
Would you have any advice for any of your colleagues, Judge Gull, or you, John, your colleagues in court administration or program coordinators on, how to go about planning something like this? Any do's or don'ts or lessons learned, anything you'll do differently next time?
I think from my perspective, it's just encouraging my colleagues on the bench to just, let your creative juices go. Be open to some suggestions of things that we might not have considered as being options. Judicial officers, we tend to get a little stuck in the mud with this is how we've done things and this is how we're going to do things. there are beautiful locations in every single county. Every single county has a beautiful park or a beautiful outdoor venue that they could host these types of celebrations.
Make sure that you're documenting these events. We've taken thousands of photographs over the last few years of these events. They're a great way to tell a positive story about what goes on in the courts. These aren't stories that people are used to hearing every day. The event that we did outside just today, the inaugural Family Recovery Court graduation, we put up a drone. Did some video for them and some photographs for them that'll go into a program video that they're going to use to help do their story. So treat it like the greatest thing that's going on in your court that week, and make sure you're documenting, taking pictures, and getting video.
And John, it really is the greatest thing happening in our courts. I mean, you know, when you look at the National Adoption Day, tons of joy, lots of happiness, lots of, you know, I think when people think about courts and courthouses and what happens in our courtrooms, all they really think about are the devastating things that happen in our communities. And I think they need to remember that there's some really awesome things that are happening in our courts that the public needs to be aware of. And these are kinds of ceremonies that we can share.
For any judges or court administrators who are watching, you know, I think most of our problem-solving courts are more than willing and welcome visitors to their graduation ceremonies if you're looking for some ideas. Or generally speaking, if you just want more information about problem-solving courts, our problem-solving court judges are a fantastic resource for all of you. So again, Judge Gull, thank you. John, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.